Hey everybody, it's Mark Kerr with Center for Self-Governance. I'm here in Weatherford, Texas. We just got through with episode 1, The Boy Dead Man Talking, with the Texas Defense Force hosts. It was wet and rainy, so we ended up in this hotel conference room, and I am here with Jeff Younger. He has just the most absolutely crazy story in this whole series of Governed be Governing. And so I'd like to introduce you to Jeff Younger. So Jeff, tell us about your shirt. Tell us about your story.
Well, my son James, I got a divorce from my ex-wife, Ann Georgilis. He's a pediatrician in Capel. And starting around the age of 3, just after his 3rd birthday, my son James started saying he was a girl. And I asked him, "Why do you think you're a girl?" And he said, "Mommy says I'm a girl." And I had the presence of mind to video that. And it kept getting worse and worse until by his 5th birthday, Ann Georgilis put my son in a dress, took him to his 5th birthday with all of his church friends, and humiliated him by bringing him to this birthday party. She then registered him in school as a girl under the fake name Luna, and he uses the girls' restroom there and everything. Here's the thing, though. He has never presented as a girl to me or anybody else other than his mom. So we're now in a court fight. In last July, she filed to basically terminate my parental rights if I don't affirm that James is a girl. She wants the court to throw me in jail if I don't pass a transgender education class with satisfactory marks. She wants to have the court throw me in jail if I use male pronouns on my own son. She wants to throw me in jail if I don't pay for transgender therapy. At the age of 8, he's in a program at a clinic in Dallas called the Genesis Clinic, Genecis. You can Google it. At the age of 8, they can do something called hormone suppression of puberty, which will chemically castrate my 8-year-old son. And his sexual organs will fail to grow. And as early as 15, he's on track to get a sex change surgery. And the state of Texas is saying that on the basis of child support laws, I have to pay for it. Currently, I'm under an injunction before we go to trial. I'm not even allowed to try to convince my son that he's a boy. And that's prevented me from teaching him traditional Christian doctrine on sexuality and gender. And I can't even take him to Sunday school because we teach out of the book of Genesis at my church. So I'm fighting for my son's life. I'm fighting to prevent Ann Georgilis from chemically castrating my son, from proceeding with this abomination. And I'm also trying to get a law passed here in the state of Texas which will outlaw all of this for children.
So you mentioned in relationship to your court battle and fight and stuff like that, you've had to pay how much in order to deal with this?
My total costs, including all the opportunity costs and everything, are in the many hundreds of thousands. I mean, the estimates for us to bring this to satisfactory conclusion in the courts is over $1 million. And so I'm really struggling right now to afford expert witnesses. So we have to counter all of these expert witnesses that are really the ruling dogma in psychology right now, and we need some of the best in the country. So if you could get to SaveJames.com and get informed about this issue, I'd really appreciate it if you could get there and hit that donate link too.
So the question I have is related to government. So people are going to be on both sides of the argument now because it's so out there now, right? What is your gender? What do you identify as? Diversity? All of these things. But ultimately, what are you seeing in terms of government structure, how this is being used, in addition to other issues like LaVoy Finicum and his ranching, grazing, right? Because not many people have this issue where the kids and parents are going through this fight. Not many families have like what the Finicums went through with grazing and cows. How would you attribute this to government and the system and how it's being used now?
So these are what I call tip of the spear type issues. They test what they can get away with in the courts and what they can do to you. So here we have a boy, my son James, who presents as a girl only with his mother and as a boy with his father. And if they can put him on the transgender track without the full permission of both parents, they can do it to any child they want. Here's the thing that I've learned through this process about the government. Our enemies of freedom use government agencies, but also, and I didn't know this, professional bodies to get their way in court. And let me tell you how it works in family court. When the American Psychological Association puts out diagnostic criteria, those have to be used by all their members. So in family court, when a psychologist evaluates my son, they have to use this transgender criteria that the American Psychological Association puts out. When they come back and give recommendations to the court, the family court judges just take the recommendations of the experts. So when these professional bodies make recommendations, they have the force of law in many courts. That's the first thing. The second thing is these orders are blatantly unconstitutional. No court in the land, state or federal, can put prior restraints on anybody's speech. And clearly, if I can't try to talk to my son about traditional Christian teachings on sexuality and gender, my speech is being constrained, and it's a prior restraint. The other thing is that in order for federal courts have consistently held, I mean for hundreds of years, almost the whole history of the United States, that in order for the courts, any courts, to interfere in the parent-child relationship, they have to pass what's called a due process strict scrutiny test. It's the highest test the court has to pass. About the only way to pass that is you have to show that you would actually harm a child. But these courts routinely interfere. Like, for example, I'm not allowed to cut my son's hair. I have to go and get court permission. Yeah, I got to get court permission. It costs me between $1,800 and $2,500 every time I want to get my kid's hair cut. And the reason that this is important to the other side is they want to hyper-feminize my son and let his hair grow out. And I keep his hair cut as our family standards demand. Now, I'm a joint managing conservator. I have equal rights with Ann Georgelas over my son. Yet the courts have constrained my ability to even cut his hair. And that's clearly not passing a strict scrutiny due process test. The courts do this in family courts routinely, and they're using professional bodies as cover to do it.
So you've got the professional bodies, you've got the court system itself, and obviously what's shocking to me is that at the state level in the state of Texas, which is, I mean, generally perceived nationwide as, in relationship to those kind of issues, as more conservative or more right-leaning or whatever. What do you have? How do you perceive that happening in the state of Tennessee based on those perceptions?
So here's the thing about Texas. Texas is large. If you were to look at the counties, sure, it's almost all conservative by counties. But we have some extremely liberal counties too, some very left-wing counties. In fact, we have some radical leftists. So, frankly, in family courts, it just depends on the judge you get. There's no consistency. Family courts are basically lawless. They don't follow precedent. They don't follow the laws. I mean, in my own divorce trial, the judge simply halted the trial while I was right in the middle of testimony, for example, violating the rules of civil procedure here in Texas, and never letting me make an appellate record, so I couldn't appeal effectively. I mean, this kind of stuff goes on constantly in family courts. It just depends on the judge you have. Recently in Dallas County, we had a massive failure of the Republican Party in our Dallas County elections. And almost all the judges in family court went to far-left Democrats. And my son, his life is on the line because of it.
Well, so I guess just to recap the story, basically your son is kind of in the middle of an issue with your former wife regarding his status, his gender status. And the claim is that as a 7-year-old, that he needs to be converted to a female because he's proclaimed it, and that now the courts are involved, and you have injunctions. You have all kinds of different things that you're having to fight in relationship to.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a very interesting case. I hope you all, at least, from the Center for Self-Governance perspective,
SaveJames.com.
go to SaveJames.com, find out more information about this, just to learn exactly how the system is being used to do these kinds of things to families and parents around the country. So, James, do you have any last thoughts?
I would like you to think about the fact that it's happening to my son. He's the tip of the spear. They're coming for your kids next. You need to think about this, and you need to get really active in your local community and put a stop to it.
All right, guys. Well, this was Center for Self-Governance, Mark Kerr, Weatherford, Texas. As you can tell, all these kinds of different things happening between Jeanette Finicum and the forced measles vaccinations in New York and 55 gallons of water per day enforcement in California to forced gender reassignment by the courts in the state of Texas. I mean, all kinds of things happening.
When's your next class?
So Center for Self-Governance training will be on April 20th in San Antonio, Texas. Check out our website.
Folks, I'm going to it. If you want to learn how to stop this transgender madness, that's the class to go to learn how to do it.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks a lot. And Jeff, thanks for taking a little bit of time to share your story with us.
you.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you on the trail to keeping the republic. Take care.